closing arguments could be heard as soon as this week in the most closely watched trial in Colorado this year. Today in the Kelsey-Berreth case, we learned that a small piece of evidence found on her fiance's property is definitely part of a human tooth. That's according to a forensic anthropology expert who testified today. Investigators say Patrick Frazee killed Kelsey-Berreth, his one-time fiancée, and then burned her body on his property. They found that tooth near the alleged burn site. More than 60 witnesses have taken the stand during 8 days of trial so far, and that included a DNA expert today who said Kelsey's DNA matched blood found on her fireplace, a baby gate, pieces of furniture, and her living room floor. Investigators did not have enough DNA on the tooth to confirm who that belonged to. The judge originally expected this trial to last until November 22nd, but today told jurors that testimony could wrap up by this Friday. Patrick Frazee has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. Be sure to follow our reporter Jennifer Meckles on Twitter, as well as her reporting on 9news.com and the 9 News app as we draw closer to the end of this trial.